Don't you think it would be more sexist for men to send ladies off to war to die? Oh, it's World War I. Let's send all the ladies off to deal with the mustard gas and the bombings and the explosions and the new world of warfare. I'm gonna send all these ladies off to die, so all me and my bros can be really cool in Austria right now. Let's send them all off to die, so me and my bros can hang out. Hi, hello, and welcome. Welcome to another Marty's Minute MENitations. I'm Marty, and this is our space, men. This is our space to get frustrated at the world, to see it as it truly is, to delve into how the world has oppressed the men these days. That's right, Marty's gonna say it. Marty believes that we need to open up about the realities of how men have been oppressed this whole time. And for you ladies out there who are going, oh, Marty, men oppressed? Yeah, right. I'm sorry, ladies, but do you think all the men in history were bros? Huh? How many of you have been sent to war? Yeah, that's right. Oh, well, Marty, all those wars and those battles were led by kings. Oh, what about the queens that led to war? We never talk about that. The ladies want to hush on all the queens that sent all the men to war to do their bidding, right? Just like good little worker bees. Marty's just gonna say it. The quote-unquote patriarchy has been far worse to men than it has been for the ladies out there. Marty's taking out the big guns, not for war. He doesn't want to engage in war with the ladies. Marty doesn't want to engage in war. He's a very loving, sensual, person who doesn't like to take part in war. Okay, Marty doesn't like to be violent or hateful. He doesn't like the violence. He doesn't like the hate. He doesn't like the blood. He doesn't like the guts. So Marty is a very sensual, loving human being, and he doesn't want to advocate for any of that stuff. But Marty does want to point out that, that he is picking up his arms, right? The weapon of his words and the knives of his knowledge in order to combat you ladies on how awful the patriarchy is against you. Because it's not like the men reserved the sword of the patriarchy for the ladies out there, okay? They use their sword against a lot of other men, all right? Especially when they're afraid that their sword is smaller than another sword out there, okay? Marty knows that we men walk with our sword of the patriarchy between our legs. So one man has a small sword of the patriarchy, and they see another man, in the gym or in the bathroom, and they catch a glimpse while he's at the urinal, not on purpose. He's not trying to see it, but sometimes you're just curious, okay? And he sees his sword of the patriarchy, and he gets a little bit jealous. It's not that Marty is trying to look at it. It just happens. It's just sometimes you're curious. Sometimes you're like, ooh, what does another man's, sort of the patriarchy look like, right? And to you ladies out there, I'm sure you do the same thing. Maybe you see a lady, in the spa, in the swim club or whatever, and you taking a shower, or you're in the, the steam room, and you catch a glimpse of, another lady's, her yoni, right? And you go, I wonder how big her yoni is. Maybe you're jealous of the size of her yoni, right? Because you've got a small yoni, right? You look at that yoni and you're like, wow, that yoni's so big. I'm jealous of how large her yoni is, right? Maybe you have that same type of envy that a man would feel about, his lingam, right? He's seeing these lingams that are bigger, right? And then you're wondering, well, are they a grower or are they a shower, right? Marty is neither, but that's neither here nor there, right? Okay, Marty is trying to be more confident in his lingam. Now, Marty wants to talk about how the patriarchy has done a lot more damage to men than it has to women. And, Marty knows it's going to be controversial, but he wants to go for it, okay? But before Marty gets into it, he wants to remind you to like this video, subscribe to Marty's channel, hit that notification bell so you know when Marty releases new content. If you want to be a martyr for manhood, support Marty through his Patreon account, his PayPal account, or his Buy Me a Coffee account. Any help you can give is greatly appreciated from Marty. He wants to continue to give the word of Marty out there, and therefore the word of men. Now, let's talk about how this patriarchy has destroyed men more than it has women. That's right, Marty's going to go there. Marty knows that you ladies are going to be offended by what Marty has to say. But, he's speaking his truth, and actually some truths that have existed. So to you ladies out there who are going, the patriarchy was designed by men, for men. How could they have suffered under the patriarchy? And to you men who are going, men haven't suffered. We've been allowed to be men. Well, Marty thinks you're a little bit delusional. Do you think the king invited all the peasant men up into his castle and was like, oh, hey guys, oh, thanks for stopping by. I got a couple brewskis in the back. Oh, I've got the game on, in behind the castle. I've got this violent medieval game happening in my backyard if you guys want to check it out. No, the king would use those peasant men probably for that sports game that was happening behind the castle. That, men would have to brutally murder each other in order to be entertaining. It's not like, men were doing so well, right? It's just like in Roman times, right? Those gladiators, all got murdered, okay, ladies? So I know that you think that the patriarchy is so against you, but let's remember the fact that through most of human history, women have been taken care of. Women have been protected. Sure, maybe there's been a couple witch burnings here and there. A couple women were thrown in the water, right, and made to sink. But why is violence against women more deplorable than violence against men? Men were burned for being witches too, and goblins and wizards, okay? I mean, women think that, oh my gosh, it's so horrible that all these things have happened to women. Well, are you more special than men? Are you better than men? Because chances are more men have died prematurely. Men have been sent off to war most of the time. They've been sent to battle brother against brother, men against men. And you ladies may be going, well, who are the people that did that, huh? They were men. So we live in a patriarchy, and it's all the fault of the men. Let's not forget that there have been some women who have sent men off to war too. They didn't send the ladies off to war. Women act like we're just born as these monsters. Right? That we're born knowing every right and wrong, and we chose all the wrong things. The patriarchy created a vision of men to be warriors, to risk and waste their lives for the protection of women. That's what women don't like to acknowledge, is that at least at the end of the day, you were protected in our society. Sure, maybe you didn't have the freedom and the rights that you wanted, but, men also were expected to sacrifice themselves for their freedom and their rights. It was just expected of them, right? And Marty talked about this in one of his past episodes about chivalry, right? Even to this day, men are still expected to be chivalrous, right? Women expect this. Society expects this from men, when really there's no real purpose. Women aren't better than men, okay? Women aren't more victims of the patriarchy than men. Men have been victims of the patriarchy because they have been brain soiled. They were made to believe that the only thing that they were there to serve as was meat shields. Maybe women are frustrated by the fact that the patriarchy has made them believe that their only value is as a baby-making machine. Well, on the flip side of that, the patriarchy has told men that their only value is as a protector, right? As a warrior. And that, you have to risk your life. Well, what if we feel sacred with our lives? What if we want to respect our lives? Maybe we don't want to see ourselves as meat shields, right? For the nation, to protect you ladies out there, right? And that's, let's not forget about the ladies in World War I who, convinced men and seduced men who would approach men on the streets and using the tactics of, shame and guilt and their sexuality would convince men to risk their lives for a meaningless war. Where's all that talk in the patriarchy? Where's your responsibility in that game of making young men lose their lives? So, that's some food for thought, okay, ladies? Sorry, Marty's just frustrated because, this whole patriarchy talk makes it seem like, all of history was some boys' club, okay? It's not like men have had it easy, all right? They go to work for unending hours to support a family, risk their emotional and mental health, and then come home to a wife that's unappreciative, okay? Doesn't sound like a good deal. It's almost like why Marty doesn't want to get married in the first place. Not because, he doesn't make enough money and can't attract a lady. Marty could attract a lady with his soul and his spirit, okay? He doesn't need the big checks, right? He doesn't need the big payments, the big dollars, the fancy cars, the exorbitant amount of confidence or the big muscles. Ladies love a man who's in touch with his feelings, who, takes a bath, listens to some Fiona Apple, lights some candles. Marty, he's mentioned that before. He's essentially signaling out to those ladies who would find that attractive in a man. So, ladies, if you think you're the goddess for Marty, reach out to Marty at MENitations.com, okay? I guess what Marty's trying to say is that nobody in history has really had it that great, okay? Obviously the ladies are going to look at their past and go, ooh, this has been pretty bad for the ladies. And if men actually looked at their past and saw how they were brain soiled, and, they would realize, oh, it hasn't been very good for the men either. Maybe the ladies were forced to marry men, but men were also forced to marry those ladies. So forcing a man to marry somebody isn't much better, all right? Even though, arranged marriages seem to be more successful than, the ones that we do right now. But that's I guess what Marty's trying to say is that we've all had it bad. Ego and power has no gender. That's what Marty's trying to get to, right? And for you individuals who, are non-gender conforming individuals and think that you can escape from the, blame of it and be like, hey, I'm not even associating with either of these parties, right? Don't blame me. No, you're still a human being. You still thirst for power. And if you had power, you would do exactly what all the men and the women who were in power had done in the past. Ooh, I'm non-gender conforming, so I'm not any of this. I don't know what you're talking about, right? I would never do that because I don't associate with any of that garbage. You still have feelings and ego, okay? You're not that special. Marty, sorry. Marty just gets a little frustrated. I think what frustrates Marty and probably the other men out there is when, ladies say it's the patriarchy. It's run by men. Yeah, like two men, like barely any men. Most men did not run this world. So maybe we can chill out because everyone was trying to be an alpha male. You can't have everybody being an alpha male in the world, right? That's why it's an alpha male. And that's the thing that these leaders, these princes, these kings knew. They were the alpha males. So they had to keep down other men. They couldn't let other men get up to be alphas. They threatened their alphahood. How else were they supposed to support their ego if they didn't torture and murder and humiliate other men? That's pretty much what history was for most men. Push them down, make them feel ashamed of themselves. The only time that leaders would make men feel good is when they were going to war. Yeah, you're really brave. You're really courageous. Oh, you're such a great man when you risk your life, when you see your body as worthless and to be thrown as fodder for the state. So yeah, you think this patriarchy has been just well and great for men and ladies have just been hanging out inside, suffering, doing laundry? That's right, Marty's gonna say it. Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty nice to be, washing laundry and growing a garden. Those are things that men are really loving to do these days. To raise a family, to go out there and work with the soil, work with the earth, grow vegetables, start to make their own clothing. It's pretty interesting that men are entering that world and feeling happier for it. And women are entering the world of men, corporate America, and feeling miserable. Because what's been expected of men for the entirety of humanity has been miserable. So maybe we can take a breath, all of us, and look at men not as the monsters in this world, but as victims of the patriarchy too. After all, ladies, if you want us to fight this patriarchy, maybe you should stop spewing lies that it benefits us. Why would we want to fight a thing that benefits us, after all? So you certainly wouldn't want to do that, would you? So men, acknowledge the fact that this patriarchy has hurt us, that we need to reclaim our bodies and reclaim the fact that men have suffered just as much as women. So take the time to sit back and acknowledge that. Acknowledge that you have been a victim, that you've been oppressed in the past, that the men that have been a part of your lineage were scarred, were hurt, had seen horrible things. Horrible things have been done to them. Life wasn't all roses and, brewskis and sports games for men in the past, okay? It wasn't a field of Budweisers and, beef jerky, okay? It was hard fought and bloody for a lot of men out there. So let's take this moment to respect the lives of men in the past and acknowledge their pain and their hurt and the struggle that they had to go through. Thank you for joining me for this meditation. If you enjoyed this meditation, remember to like this video, subscribe to Marty's channel, hit that notification bell so you know when Marty releases new content. Don't forget to become a martyr. Visit Marty's Patreon page. Make a one-time donation through his PayPal account or his Buy Me a Coffee account. And until next time, I'll be here, waiting, ready to meditate.